Everyone thought I died in the crash, even my husband. But when I returned alive with $11 million, his new wife saw me at the door and screamed louder than death itself. Don't forget, subscribe a story a day. Let's start. The world didn't end the night my car hit the guardrail, but it almost did. I remember the screech first. A long, sharp scream of metal twisting against metal, echoing in my skull even now. Then the fall. Then the silence. A silence so deep I thought it was the sound of dying. But I didn't die. I survived. When I opened my eyes in the hospital 2 days later, everything felt foreign. My own breath, the sterility of the white ceiling, even the warmth of sunlight between the blinds. My body was wrapped in pain, but my mind was wrapped in something worse. Memories. My husband's face, his hands holding someone else, his voice telling me I was too much, too emotional, too exhausting. And then, darkness, lights, shattering glass. I blinked slowly, and a nurse leaned over me. You're safe now. You're very lucky to be alive. Alive. Lucky. I didn't feel either. My husband wasn't there. My phone wasn't there. My wedding ring wasn't there. Only a folded document on the bedside table, brought in by the police. A document that would change everything. It was my late father's will. I had inherited $11 million, and my husband didn't know. No one did. The lawyer who delivered it had been confused. We tried to call you for weeks, he told the nurse. We thought you traveled. We didn't know you were here. I had no idea my father, distant, quiet, stubbornly private, had been wealthy enough to leave me such a fortune. I didn't know he was even sick again. We weren't close, but he loved me in the ways he knew how, quietly, secretly, maybe too secretly. Now he was gone, and the world he left behind was heavy enough to crush me. But this story, my story, doesn't begin with the money. It begins with what happened when I finally walked out of that hospital. My recovery was slow, humiliating at times. I had to relearn small things, lifting my arm, turning without dizziness, trusting my own legs. No one visited. Not even my husband, Ethan. He hadn't even filed a missing person report. 2 months later, when I was strong enough to stand without trembling, I made a decision that surprised even me. I wanted to go home. Not because I wanted him back, but because I needed closure. And maybe because I needed to see who he became without me. I wore a simple cream sweater and loose jeans. My face held faint scars, but my hair had grown back soft around them. I looked different. I looked alive. A taxi dropped me at the driveway of the house I once thought I'd grow old in. A place that now held the sound of someone else's laughter. I heard her before I saw her. Young, light, carefree. It stung, but not the way it used to. Not like betrayal, but like realization. He had moved on long before my car hit the road that night. I walked toward the door. My heart wasn't racing. My fingers weren't shaking. I was strangely calm. When the door opened, I expected Ethan. But instead, a woman stood there. Blonde, tall, perfect skin. Soft-lipped smile that vanished the second her eyes met mine. For a second, she didn't breathe. Her face turned pale, so pale I thought she might faint. Then she screamed, a raw, gut-deep sound that sliced the air around us. Her hands flew to her mouth. She stumbled backward, knocking over a vase. Her eyes remained locked on me, wide with horror. You're dead, she shrieked. Ethan said you died. He said your car exploded. Oh God, oh God. I blinked. Dead? He had told her I was dead? Before I could speak, I heard footsteps thunder down the stairs. Ethan appeared, hair messy, shirt half-buttoned. Confusion turning instantly into terror when he saw me. He froze. His jaw dropped. His hands trembled at his sides. It was the first time in months I had seen his face. And in that moment, he looked at me not with love or guilt or even regret, but with fear. Pure, undeniable fear. Amelia? He whispered. My name trembled on his lips. How are you? Alive? Alive. There it was again. The question I had asked myself every day. I survived, I said quietly. He swallowed hard. His new wife, yes, she wore a ring, clung to his arm, shaking violently. Ethan, you said the police confirmed. You said the body. There was a body, he said too fast. They said it was hers. They said, I thought, I didn't know. Lies. Sloppy, panicked lies. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't collapse. Instead, I stood tall in the doorway of the life that almost buried me. I came to get my things, I said calmly. And to tell you I know everything. He stiffened. Everything? I reached into my bag and pulled out the envelope containing my father's will. I know what you were after, I said coldly. You knew my father was sick. You knew I was about to inherit everything, and you tried to make sure I wouldn't live long enough to claim it. His face drained of color. His new wife's grip tightened. "Ethan, what is she talking about?" He stuttered. "She's lying. She always lies. She's unstable. I stepped forward. "I have the police report. I have the car inspection results. And I have the truth." His eyes widened in panic. "Your plan didn't work, Ethan," I whispered. "I'm alive." The new wife gasped and stepped away from him as if he were poison. But I wasn't finished. "I'm not here to beg. I'm not here to fight. I'm just here to take back what's mine and walk away." My voice didn't shake. For the first time in years, it didn't shake. Ethan reached out a trembling hand. "Amelia, wait." "Don't," I said. And with that, I turned around. I didn't take a single thing from the house. I didn't look back at the woman who screamed. I didn't look back at the man who wished I stayed dead. I simply walked away into a world where I finally had something stronger than fear. Freedom. And $11 million that would soon expose every lie Ethan ever told. The truth that refused to stay buried. For the first time in years, I slept peacefully. No husband, no betrayal, no lies breathing down my neck. Just silence, the good kind. I rented a small apartment overlooking the city. Nothing extravagant, nothing flashy. Not because I couldn't afford more, but because I needed space that felt like mine. My money, my choices, my safety. Still, my mind wouldn't rest. There were questions I couldn't push down anymore. Who misidentified the body in my crash? Why did Ethan lie so easily about my death? And how did my car accidentally veer off the road? The truth didn't scare me anymore. Not knowing did. So the next morning, I called a private investigator. His name was Daniel Hale, a sharp-featured man with a calm, unreadable face and eyes that looked like they had seen too much but judged nothing. When I explained everything, he didn't flinch. He listened the way people do when they're used to secrets. When I finished, he folded his hands. "Mrs. Carter." "It's Amelia," I corrected. He nodded. "Amelia, what you're describing isn't just suspicious. It's intentional. And if it's intentional, it leaves tracks." "I want answers," I said. He gave a single nod. "Then I'll find them." 3 days later, he returned with a file the size of a small book. "You might want to sit," he suggested. My stomach tightened, but I didn't sit. "Tell me." He exhaled. "The brakes on your car didn't fail because of an accident. They were tampered with, cleanly, professionally." My chest felt cold. He continued. "Someone wanted you dead, Amelia, and they paid someone skilled to make sure the crash looked like a tragic mistake." My pulse hammered in my ears. "You're certain?" "Positive." My breath trembled, but I forced myself to stand tall. "Who paid for it?" "That," Daniel said, "is where things get complicated." He pushed a photo toward me. A woman, beautiful, familiar, terrified in the doorway when she saw me alive. Ethan's new wife. Her name, Lily Warren. I blinked. "Lily? She paid someone to kill me?" Daniel shook his head. "No, she didn't pay. She received the payment." My heart sank. "Received what?" $500,000, he said. "The day after your crash." I stared at the photo. My mind spun. Why would she get money after I almost died? Daniel hesitated, because Lily wasn't just Ethan's new wife. He slid another document across the table, a certificate of incorporation. Lily Warren was the registered director of a shell company, a company connected to offshore accounts that had been siphoning money out of Ethan's business for years. My blood froze. She was stealing from him? I whispered. "No," Daniel said. "They were stealing together." "And the money?" He nodded. "Your inheritance wasn't a surprise to them. They knew about it long before you did. They knew your father was dying. They knew where his fortune would go." My chest tightened. Air felt thinner. "They wanted everything," I murmured. "Yes, but they couldn't get it while you were alive?" My throat burned. "So they planned it." "Both of them." Daniel didn't soften the truth. "It's looking that way." I held the table for balance. My hands trembled, not in fear but in fury. A slow, cold fury that tasted like truth finally finding a place to live. Ethan hadn't replaced me with Lily after I disappeared. He had replaced me with her long before. They didn't mourn me. They planned my absence. They executed it. And when I lived, their whole plan collapsed. Anger didn't consume me. It clarified me. "What do we do now?" I asked quietly. Daniel met my eyes. "Now? You decide what you want. Justice, revenge, or both." That night, I lay awake staring out the apartment window as the city lights blinked like distant stars. I wasn't broken anymore. I was rebuilding, and I knew exactly what I wanted. Not revenge, not money, Not even closure. I wanted to confront the truth. All of it. Face to face. 2 days later, I stood outside the same house where Lily had screamed as if she'd seen a ghost. I knocked once. The door opened slowly. Lily stood there, looking smaller than before, her face pale, eyes red. She clutched her robe like a shield. "You?" she whispered. "Yes, me." She swallowed hard. "I'm sorry for screaming that day. I was shocked." "Ethan told me—" "Save it," I interrupted. "I know everything." Her expression broke, truly broke. She stepped aside silently, letting me in. The house felt colder, emptier, like the walls themselves. Knew the lies spoken inside them. "He's not here," she said faintly. "Ethan left after you came." "He's been gone since." "Running?" I asked. She nodded miserably. "He pulled me into things I didn't understand," she whispered. "He told me marrying him was a chance at a new life. He said he'd take care of me. I didn't know. I didn't know about you. About him. About the car." I stared at her. She wasn't lying. Her voice trembled with something real. Regret. "Why did you get paid after my crash?" I asked. She burst into tears. "Because he used my account," she choked out. "He controlled everything. He said it was an investment. I didn't even know how much trouble he was in until you came back." The truth hit me slowly. Lily wasn't the mastermind. She was another victim. But Ethan, he had stolen, lied, manipulated, and tried to kill me. Lily wiped her tears. "He's dangerous, Amelia." "I know." She reached out hesitantly. "Please, be careful." "I will." As I turned to leave, she whispered shakily, "He's not done with you. He's desperate. And desperate men do desperate things." I didn't look back, because I wasn't the frightened woman who married Ethan anymore. I was the woman who survived him. And I was ready, finally ready, to destroy the man who tried to erase me. The man who wanted me gone. Ethan had disappeared. Not completely. Cowards never vanish. Entirely, but enough that every trail Daniel followed led to a dead end. A hotel room booked under a fake name. A gas station camera catching his car heading west. A wire transfer from one of the stolen accounts. But not a single sign of where he stopped. "He's scared," Daniel said. "Scared people run. But they also make mistakes." I didn't fear Ethan anymore, but I feared what desperate men do when they realize the truth is catching them. And Ethan's truth was about to choke him. 2 nights later, I received a message on my phone. A number I didn't recognize. A single sentence. "Meet me where everything started." My heart dropped. There was only one place he meant. The cliff road where my car crashed. Where he expected me to die. Where he thought he had erased me from his life. Daniel insisted on coming with me. "Ethan isn't stable anymore," he warned. "You're not going alone." I didn't argue. When we arrived, the night was heavy, too quiet, too still. As if the world knew something wrong was about to unfold. Headlights suddenly lit the darkness. A car pulled up across from us. Ethan stepped out. But this wasn't the controlled, charming man I once loved. His hair was a mess. His shirt was wrinkled, stained. His face was hollow, eyes sunken with panic. He looked like a man whose lies were eating him alive. "Amelia," he called out, voice tight. "Tell your guard dog to stay back." Daniel didn't move. Neither did I. "You wanted me here," I said coldly. "So talk." He laughed bitterly. "You always were stubborn. Even death couldn't shut you up." "You tried to kill me," I said. The words held no tremor. Ethan's smile twisted. "You weren't supposed to be in the car that night." My blood ran cold. "What?" "You heard me." His teeth clenched. "I never meant to kill you. I only wanted to scare you, hurt you, break you enough so you'd leave, so I could take what your father was about to give you." Daniel stepped forward. "Your brakes were cut carefully. That wasn't meant to just scare her." Ethan's eyes flickered. "Plans change. People interfere." My heartbeat thudded painfully. Someone else? Someone else was part of this? Ethan walked closer, his voice raised. "Your father ruined everything." "My father?" I whispered. "He was dying." "Yes," Ethan snapped. "And he was planning to expose me. He knew I'd been stealing from his trust funds for years. He confronted me the week before your crash." My chest tightened. "You stole from my father?" I whispered. "Behind my back?" "I deserved it," he yelled. "After everything I did for you. After all the years I wasted." The cliffside winds roared like they were furious too. "And when he threatened to cut you off," he continued. "When he said the money would stay locked until he was gone, I panicked. And you decided killing me was the solution," I said. His jaw clenched. It wasn't supposed to be that way. Lily was supposed to drive that night. Not you. My world froze. Lily. He had planned to kill Lily in my car. A staged accident. A dead wife. A grieving husband receiving sympathy and family wealth. But I accidentally took the car first. He looked away, guilt flashing only for a second. You were never meant to die. Not that night, but Lily knew too much. I exhaled shakily. Everything connected. Lily wasn't the villain. She was the next victim. You're a monster, I said quietly. No, Ethan hissed, stepping closer. I'm a survivor. Like you think you are. Daniel shifted slightly, ready to intervene. Ethan noticed and smirked. You brought protection, he sneered. Smart, but not smart enough. He reached into his jacket. Daniel moved instantly, pulling me behind him. But Ethan didn't hold a weapon. He held documents. Crumpled, weathered, but unmistakably legal papers. What's that? I demanded. Insurance policies, Ethan said. Your father didn't just leave you money, Amelia. He left you power, influence, and secrets. I hesitated. What secrets? Ethan lifted the papers. This, he said slowly, is a letter your father wrote before he died. A letter he didn't want you to read until you had everything. Give it to me, I said. He smiled darkly. No, because it destroys you more than it saves you. Daniel's voice sharpened. Hand over the papers. Ethan's face twisted with rage. You don't get it. Amelia's inheritance wasn't supposed to be hers. It was supposed to be mine. It was never yours, I shot back. It was my father's legacy to me. Ethan's eyes burned. Your father wasn't who you think he was. I stiffened. Stop lying. I'm not lying, he spat. Ask your investigator. Ask the bank. Ask anyone. He raised the papers higher. Your father built his fortune on illegal deals, money laundering, off-the-record contracts. He wasn't the quiet businessman you worshipped. My stomach churned. You're lying. For once, Ethan whispered, I'm not. The wind howled between us. The truth, or his twisted version of it, hung in the cold air. Then Ethan stepped dangerously close to the cliff edge. Give me the money, Amelia, he said. I walk away. You walk away. We pretend none of this happened. No, I said. You don't understand, he shouted. If I go down, you go down too. Those documents. Your name is on some of his accounts. Some of his deals. My breath hitched. What? Before I could speak, Ethan lost his footing. The ground crumbled beneath him. He stumbled backward. His arms flailed in the air as the cliff edge cracked. Ethan! I yelled without thinking. But Daniel grabbed my arm. Don't! He shouted. Ethan's eyes met mine in one last flash of shock and desperation. Then he slipped over the edge. His scream echoed into the darkness and disappeared. Silence followed, a silence deeper than the one after my crash. I stared at the cliff, heart pounding violently. Amelia, Daniel said quietly, he's gone. But I wasn't sure. Gone? Dead? Or planning his next move from the shadows? The darkness didn't answer. All I knew was this. The truth wasn't finished with me. Not yet. Not even close. The woman who chose to live. The police spent hours searching the rocks below the cliff. Drones scanned every shadow. Rescue teams lowered ropes, combed the shoreline, dug through broken branches. But they found nothing. No body, no clothing, no trace of Ethan at all. He couldn't survive that fall, one officer said. But I wasn't convinced. People like Ethan don't disappear easily. They linger like smoke, drifting between the cracks. Impossible to catch, impossible to trust. For 2 days I didn't sleep. Not well anyway. Daniel stayed close. He didn't say much, but his presence steadied me, like a silent promise that I was no longer fighting alone. On the third morning, he walked in holding the envelope Ethan tried to destroy. The letter, he said quietly. It's yours, ready? No, but I nodded anyway. My father's handwriting was shaky, faint, but unmistakable. My dearest Amelia, if you are reading this, I am gone. My breath caught. He continued. You always believed I lived a clean, careful life. That I made my money slowly, honestly. But life is rarely that simple. My heart sank. A trembling fear of what I might learn rushed through my chest. When your mother fell sick, I did things I'm not proud of. Deals, shortcuts, connections I should never have touched. I did it to save her. And when I couldn't, I kept doing it to save you. My vision blurred. Over the years, I washed every cent. I made everything legal. But some men wanted me dead for walking away from them. Ethan was one of them. I froze. He discovered my past, threatened to expose me. I refused, so he came after you. A cold ripple trickled down my spine. You may hear that my fortune is tainted. It is not. Every illegal deal was undone or paid for. Everything you inherit is clean. My shoulders loosened in relief. But Ethan will not stop until the money is his. If you ever face him, walk away. Your life is worth more than any fortune. The last line was written shakily, barely legible. I love you more than this world will ever know. Live, Amelia? Live. Tears spilled before I felt them. For years I believed my father was distant, cold, uninterested. But the truth was different. He had been protecting me long before I needed it. When I finished crying, Daniel placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. You didn't deserve any of this, he said. No, I whispered. But I survived it. He nodded slowly. Ethan's gone. You're free now. But some part of me, the cautious, scarred part, knew it wasn't over. Not until I closed the chapter myself. 1 week later, the police found security footage. A fisherman's camera caught something at 3 a.m. the night Ethan fell. A man crawling out of the water, limping, bleeding, dragging himself toward the forest. Ethan had survived. Barely, but he survived. I stared at the footage until my breath steadied. Fear didn't return. Not this time. Instead, something inside me settled. Resolve. This ends now, I said. Daniel didn't argue. I know where he is. The abandoned cabin sat deep inside the woods, near a forgotten hiking trail. A place people stopped going 2 years ago. When Daniel and I arrived, the door hung crooked, as if kicked in. The windows were covered with blankets, and a faint smell of burnt wood leaked through the cracks. Daniel whispered, "Stay behind me." But I stepped forward. This was my story, my ending. Inside, Ethan sat on the floor, his leg wrapped in torn fabric, his face half bruised. He looked weaker than I ever imagined, like a man shrinking inside his own shadows. When he heard us, he flinched. Then he laughed. A broken, trembling laugh. "Of course you'd come," he muttered. "You're too soft to stay away." "No," I said quietly. "I came because I'm done running." He lifted his head, eyes burning with a familiar madness. "You ruined everything," he rasped. Everything. I could have fixed it. I could have erased the debts, the threats, the danger. If you just died. I didn't let him finish. "You tried to kill Lily," I said sharply. He blinked, startled. "You wanted her dead to steal my inheritance," I continued. "And when I survived the crash, you tried again. You manipulated her. You lied to her. You used her." Ethan's jaw clenched. "She was weak. She was your victim," I corrected. "Like me." His eyes flared with anger. Daniel stepped forward. "The police are on their way," Ethan scoffed. "They can't stop what's coming." "What's coming?" I asked. Ethan's voice dropped into a chilling whisper. "My father's old partners, the ones your father crossed. They're coming for everything, your money. And you." A shiver crawled across my skin. "Stop lying," I said. "I'm not lying," he hissed. "I tried to protect you, Amelia. You think I wanted you dead? No, I wanted control because I could handle them. You can't." His voice rose in desperation, echoing off the walls. "You don't know the world that money came from. You don't know what it cost. I stepped closer and looked him straight in the eyes. "I know enough," I said softly. "And I'm not afraid." He froze. Maybe because for the first time he saw strength in the place he expected fear. "You can't walk away," he whispered. "You can't survive without me." "I already did," I said. Sirens began to echo in the distance. Ethan's eyes widened, panic racing across his face. "No, no, Amelia, you don't understand." But I did. He wasn't fighting for love, or for me, or even for the money. He was fighting because he had lost control. And control was the only thing he ever cared about. The police burst in. Ethan was handcuffed before he could speak another lie. As they dragged him out, he locked eyes with me one last time. "This isn't over," he screamed. "You'll regret this. You'll." The door shut. His voice vanished. The world finally exhaled. 3 months passed. The accounts were cleared. My father's name was protected. Lily filed for a divorce and left the city. Ethan faced a mountain of charges: fraud, attempted murder, embezzlement. He would never walk freely again. As for me, I stood on a quiet pier at sunset, warm wind brushing my face. A new house, a new life, a new peace I never thought I'd earn. Daniel walked up beside me, hands in his pockets. "Big step today," he said, signing the investment papers. I smiled softly. My father wanted me to live. I think I'm finally doing that. He looked at me, eyes gentle. "You know, you're stronger than anyone I've ever worked with." I felt a warmth spread through my chest. A second chance feels strange, I admitted. Daniel smiled. Then make it yours. I watched the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky gold. For the first time since the crash, I felt no weight on my shoulders. No fear, no shadows, just life. A life that belonged, finally, to me. I had survived betrayal, fire, darkness, and death itself. Now I was ready to survive something new, happiness, and for the first time, I believed I deserved it.